you to figure out what resonates with you and what doesn't. Take what you need and leave the rest. Hey, everybody, here we are, episode 5. Can you believe it? Isn't it amazing?
Right?
I'm so excited today. This is one of our first days actually, it is our first day with a special guest. We've got Lisa Hagenbuch from Future Echo Astrology with us. So we're going to talk all things astrology today. I'm very excited. So I am Angie, and I'm going to go ahead and say it this week. ZXUH. That's all I'm saying, because that's how you say it. Energy master, Akashic reader, card reader, like all things energy. That's what I'm all about. So my co-host, John, the Tarot Geek.
Hello, I'm John, the
about
Tarot
yourself.
Geek. All right. Tarot reader, soon to be author, published.
So excited for you.
We'll get to the shameless plug in a minute. But yes, all things woo-woo. And just
okay, shameless plug in 30 minutes. But yes. No, I digress. Anyway, we already have a couple of watchers too. All right. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but you're
good enough.
Okay, so I'm going to tell everybody immediately right now. I go out with my friend every morning and we go to a place where either I bring coffee or she brings coffee. Well, today, instead of decaf, she gave me regular. So I'm just saying. So if you notice anything, that's what it's all about.
And if we have to say, slow down, Angie,
and slow please down. Feel free to say that, right? Like, anyway, so today I'm excited. Astrology. For me, astrology is a bit of an enigma, right? I mean, what do I know? I know that I'm a Libra. And I know that if the moon is in the 7th house and Jupiter aligns with Mars, then peace will guide the planet. That's about, Geminis are bipolar or, kind of dual personalities. And Virgos are kind of overbearing. But that's only from experience. I don't know if that's for real or not. Hi, Joanne. Nice to see you. Or not see you, but you know what I mean. Anyway, so that's kind of it in a nutshell for me. Lisa, you know what you're dealing with. We've done reading, work together before.
Yeah.
So I'm very excited to hear what we have to say. And John, I know you have a few ideas or thoughts.
Yeah. So when I was learning tarot, a number of the tarot teachers and books that I were reading would make note of astrological connections and hooks with certain tarot cards. And so because I was kind of putting it off and saying, all right, that's not my thing, I finally said, okay, I guess I really have to learn this stuff. So what I always do is I get a book and I found out, hey, there's a really cool program out there. I bought a program called Time Passages. It's an astrology program. And I opened it up and like ran my chart, and I got this big chart with lines on it. And I'm like, what the heck is this stuff? So I ended getting a book that I really like. I got Teresa Reed's Astrology for Real Life. And so I'm making my way through that book. And so that at least makes it make a little bit of sense. Here's the one thing that I learned when I was kind of on my journey. I learned about the Saturn return. And I'm sure Lisa will speak more about this, but it's a time in your life when the Saturn comes to the same point when it was when you were born, and it's like a big life-changing event. And I looked back, and it was like 3 or 4 years prior to that. I'm like, holy cow, there was a huge shift in my life right at that time. And I was like, wow, this stuff's pretty cool. So with that.
All right, so don't mind me. Oh, hi, Ma. Dan is here with me today, too. That's my son.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
Anyway, meanwhile, I already spilled my soda water, so that's, if I look a little goofy, that's what's going on over here. Okay. So, yep, there's a little more water on the keyboard. All right.
If Angie disappears, it's probably because of the
yeah, right, because something got wet. Anyway, all right. So listen, everyone, we are very, very honored and excited to have Lisa Hagenbuch join us today. She is Future Echo Astrology.
I am Future Echo.
She is the one that drew my chart, and I got to tell you, it looks a little bit like it was drawn by a haunted spirograph. I mean, she can attest to that. She actually said, I wonder if like this might be your last go around, or if you're at least going to get a break in the next life. And I was like,
Mm.
well, who knows?
Now I'm really curious. What's mine look
Yeah.
like?
Well, someday
Can't
I'll
wait
show
to
it
do
to you.
yours.
I mean, it is a thing to behold. I don't really know what it means, but that's okay because, that's why we're working with Lisa. So, without further ado, Lisa, it is so amazing to have you join. Look at the caffeine I got. I can't be doing this again. I am so happy that you are joining us.
Me
Why
too.
don't you tell us a little bit about astrology, just kind of why you think everybody should have their birth chart done, or,
Yeah.
just a little bit of information before we go into the questions, and
Sure.
we'll see where it goes from there.
Sounds fantastic. So thank you so much, Angie and John. I'm so excited to be here with you today and to talk about my favorite subject. It's like when I first sat down in front of an astrologer, it was like, that's what I want to do. It was the first time I
Cool.
knew what I wanted to do. So she was the most amazing one. So I feel like everyone should have their chart done because it's the closest thing you're ever going to get to having your own owner's manual, because everyone and everything in your life is contained in the chart. And so it's just, to me, it's the most insightful tool that you can get for just knowing yourself on deep levels, knowing the others in your life. And the more you do astrology, the more you realize that you have so much more compassion for people because you understand that everybody's just dealing with their own energy pattern. Yeah, exactly. And I feel like, as a mother of two, that what we really should be giving moms when they leave the hospital is a copy of their birth chart and and the business card for the nearest astrologer, because it's an invaluable tool to help you understand who you're
That is
going to be
really
guided.
insightful.
Yeah, it's like, it was priceless for me. My journey, as I'm a Capricorn, what I would have tried to do with control if I didn't realize that they had their own signatures and their own, journey to unfold, and I'm there to guide and support them. But I've got control over so much. So that probably was the biggest lesson for me. But I just love it. And you say that here's what you know about it. The thing about it is, the more you dive into astrology, the more you realize that rabbit hole never ends, and we're all learning.
Isn't that the truth?
I'll learn astrology for the rest of my life, but it's just so much fun.
That's awesome. So I'm just going to take this moment to indulge myself, and I really want to know the answer to this question.
Sure.
What does it mean? Is there really an age of Aquarius? Are we on the verge of it, or is it a real thing? You don't have to go into deep detail, but like, for me, that's always been, even since I was little, like that song's been around like my whole life. I remember it for my whole life. Like,
yes.
Or most of I actually remember when it came out, to tell you the truth, but still most of my whole life. I always found that to be a hopeful thing, right? Like, there was a lot of hope in those words for me. So, I mean, is there reason to hope? Do those words mean something?
Yeah, I really feel like they do. And at the time, there's this whole, because it's essentially like a 2,500-year cycle that we're under, where the Earth is kind of pointing in a, I don't know, I'm going to astronomically not probably say this the right way, but it's essentially, it's like the rising sign is now Aquarius. So what we're kind of facing, we're bringing in this energy. So at the time the song came out, we were just, the energy was approaching, but it wasn't exact. And it's hard to know exactly when, but we are moving from Pisces into, I think, probably fully into the age of Aquarius now. And so, we are going to be, I think, and what I find when I talk to people, it used to be love. And that's a lot about Pisces, right? You want that fantasy of like merging with someone and the partnership. And now, so people would always say, when am I going to find love? Where's my love partnership? And now people ask me more often than any other question I get is life purpose.
Wow.
And
isn't that interesting?
Yeah, it's really shifted. And I feel like what people are doing is they're kind of taking different modalities sometimes, or different things, and merging them together and coming up with something unique, which is all about what Aquarius is about. It's kind of marching to the beat of your own drummer, finding, your niche in the world. And so, and we're also going to see, I think, explosion of technology and AI and all of that. And so there's challenges that come with managing all of that. And we're just on the cusp of it, but it is a thing. I think it's exciting. My Mars and Venus are in Aquarius, and I love it. So, but we're going to come a lot from our head. And so we need to more than realize that we need to, the polarity of that is to drop into our heart as we expand in the world technologically, I think.
That's cool.
That's really good because
can I say that resonates with me?
Oh, good. Right? Perfect.
That really does.
Yeah. I mean, because if you really think about it, the more technology takes over, look at just the introduction of social media, the more it's pulling us away from our hearts. So a conscious effort to stay heart-centered is what's really important now. That I'm really glad I asked that question because I think it's important for people to hear that.
I've always wondered the same thing. So I'm glad you asked that. It wasn't on my list, but
it totally resonates with me. So
can I also add in astrology, there are these polarities, right? So the opposite of Aquarius is Leo, and that's about the heart. So when people think about the significant energies in their chart, also thinking about stepping into the polarity of it is how you balance it and it flows better in your life.
Oh, wow. So, and that's present. I mean, the truth is the human world is a world of polarity, right? Like, you hear so many people out there, oh, well, we're trying to transcend polarity.
Right.
Sorry, there is no front without back. Right. There is no up without down.
There's no in without out, right?
Oh my God, no, there's definitely. And not only that, but you should not be going in through the outs. Like, Anyway, so the idea that, that there's polarity present in all of the constructs that influence us as humans, I think is really quite amazing.
Yeah.
So, and real quick before I forget, because we do have listeners, if you have an astrological question, please feel free to post it in the comments and I'll be happy to pass that on to Lisa. If it's a question about your sign or whatever it might be, I know that Lisa is very, very experienced and has a lot of knowledge. And if for some reason she couldn't answer it off the top of her head, I know how to find you. And,
Did we lose you, Angie? I think we lost Angie.
I think we did. She'll circle back though, I'm sure.
Yep, she'll be back. She always does. Well, do you want to dive into the questions, Lisa?
Sure. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm going to read the first one here. We have a list of questions. I don't know if Angie passed those on. So here's the first one. Are there aspects in a person's chart that might identify whether they lean towards the negative or positive in their lives?
Yeah. So, and Angie and I know she'll circle back. We had an interesting conversation about this because, so this is the way I look at it is each of the planetary and astrological energies, they all have characteristics associated with them.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's part of the beauty of it to me is that what I love about it so much is that we don't really always need to know the story. We can just dive right into the characteristics and we get into the meat of it, right? Mm-hmm. So some of those characteristics, they're all operating on a spectrum. And some of them are going to be perceived as more negative and some are going to be more perceived as positive. So I'll give you an example.
Sure.
So Saturn and Capricorn, Saturn is thought to be the Lord of Karma. It's the taskmaster. Hi, Angie. Oh, okay. I'll just keep going.
Yeah, just keep going.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that can be perceived, by some as kind of negative, right? Whereas Jupiter is like the greater benefic in astrology. It's the most expansive planet. It brings benefits. It's joy and social, and that could be perceived very positive, right? But I think of everything as being on a spectrum, and I think of the chart as kind of a contained system of potentials and possibilities. And everybody is kind of using those in a little different way. So I think the person's consciousness plays a huge role in whether they come off as very positive or very negative. Because I know there are people that, they appear to be very negative. They go to the negative right away. So
Yep.
I always try to help them to shift and say, again, like polarity, like look at the opposite of it, like try to do the yin and yang of everything. Because I don't think anything is inherently always positive or negative, but there is this whole perception of
Right.
that.
It's kind of how you bring it in. You bring your innate trait out and you can spin it positive or negative.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Because I mean, I'm a Capricorn, right? And so it's ruled by Saturn, and like, and I'm a Scorpio rising, so I'm not always the most like bubbly person, but but my Mercury is in Sagittarius, that's ruled by Jupiter. So I see the world through a sunny lens, but I am pretty work oriented and reserved.
Interesting. I'm a Sagittarius, so I always like to hear that.
Yeah.
That feels like it's a good thing.
Yeah, exactly. So, but it's just so I think it's working with and trying to shift what isn't working for you, because you always kind of know when you butt up against the outside world, and that's a mirror to say, okay, let's try to shift this a little bit. It's not flowing very well.
Cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
Angie's back. Good.
Yep.
Angie's back.
I guess we had a little bit of a brownout. I'm really happy to know that you can hear me and everything, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm really happy to know that you guys were able to continue, even though that's one nice thing about StreamYard.
Yep.
I can't say enough about StreamYard. I really love it.
Good.
What I was going to say though, as you were talking, I'm thinking that you kind of got to that first question that
Correct.
I had.
Yep.
Is that there's a lot of things that influence people to be positive or negative. It can be environmental. Right. It can be ancestral. It can be Akashic. It can be, there's any number of reasons. If you live in a really negative home for whatever, with negative parents and, people who are like, well, that kind of thing's not meant for us. And, that's going to put somebody, towards a negative spin. So my real purpose for asking that question was, is it something you can spot in the chart? But just because it's written in the chart doesn't mean it's written in stone. And it sounds like you got there. Like it's choice, it's potential. So you have the ability to change it. So in other words, because I have heard from this person or that person, never would I throw anyone under the bus. And it's not really anybody that I can think of off the top of my head at the moment. But I have heard people say, oh, well, negative, that's just how I am. And I'm like, yeah, I think that's a little bit of a cop out right there,
Right.
Like,
yeah.
I think, so I'm glad to know, because, as an energy worker and the way that I work with people, I'm always looking at beliefs. I'm looking at environmental. I'm looking at ancestral. I'm looking at Akashic. So to have the input of the chart as well, to understand how to help a person work within their own energy is like, I mean,
it's one more really good tool.
Right? So a tiny little shameless plug. Lisa and I do work together. We've put together a program of Akashic and Astrologic. So the astrology and the Akasha. To help people sort of, and what's always been interesting to me is how they jive, like how, you Lisa sees these aspects of a person and I see these sort of complementary aspects of a person. And it can really, give a broad field of information for people to work from.
Yeah. So, I agree, because,
anyway,
astrology pairs with everything. It's the original symbol. It's the original language of the cosmos, so, and it provides timing, which is always, the part about with the tarot sometimes, or, it's like hard to know the timing. And then the planets, when they're collective positions in your individual chart, provide more of the timing. So I think it's a beautiful pairing.
That is really interesting, because that's one thing we always say as tarot readers. Well, we really can't tell you the time, but things are looking good in the next 3 to 9 years, right?
Yeah, exactly right.
Well, and I'll be honest, as a reader, not as an Akashic reader, but as a card reader, I don't like to go very much into the future, because that, that's coming through my filter. That's coming through my perception. That's one thing about astrology is it's written in the charts, right? Lisa interprets it, but the information is what it is. It would be interpreted the same most of the time, for the most part, by whatever astrologer or whatever person with some knowledge of astrology has.
That's really interesting.
But when you're reading cards, and I'm telling you, because I've been paying attention now as research for this show, to the way that people read, to the things that card readers put out there, to the things people who channel put out there, everything they do is influenced by whether they lean more towards the negative or whether they lean more towards the positive. And it's really apparent, John. I think you'll find it fascinating when we, have the convo to set up for that conversation.
Yep, for sure.
So being able to take someone's birth chart, the information that Lisa gives, and combine that with the information that I have that's a bit more esoteric and is really guided by my filter, which, P.S., I'm very proud of because I work in the state of neutral consciously. I think it's like one of the most helpful ways to help a person be human, which is why we are here. We are here to be human. We are here to have a human experience, whatever that looks like. And a lot of it is what we make it. Now, a lot of it's not, but we do have choice. We do have free will. But there are a lot of socioeconomic and environmental and a lot of, influences that are beyond our control. But what we can control is how we react, right? Like, I don't like that. Well, let's move. So anyway, my 2 cents. There's so much to help so many people here. Like there's so much meat here. Anyway, okay. John, do you want to just keep asking the questions?
Sure. Yeah. We've already kind of talked about this, but I'll just read it anyway. Are the aspects of a person's chart written in stone, or can they bring awareness or aspects of themselves? If they can't change the deep underlying cause, can they be mindful of it? And I think Lisa you already said yes, of course. You can spin it either way, but
so it's probably the most important thing that I learned when I learned astrology is that my teacher always said it's a two-way street. So the planetary astrological energies, they do describe us, they influence us, and some things do appear to be more set in stone, I will say.
Okay.
But for the most part, I think we are in charge. And if we're conscious about wanting to work with the energies, then we can make really significant shifts and growth, spiritual growth, which is part of what I'm most fascinated in. So, it's so understanding then, your chart, but then also how are the collective energies impacting my chart right now? So the planets all move at different speeds, and the moon goes through the chart once a month. Pluto, my favorite. Maybe it's not a planet, but it's my favorite. It takes 248 years, right? So knowing where that is, let's dig into that. Yeah.
So when you say the moon goes through the chart once a month, that's the cycles of the moon.
Right.
Is
that's
that
the
right?
lunar cycle. Yeah.
That is the lunar cycle. So then, interesting. Yeah, there's more to that, but I don't have it nearby. So
and it's great to work with the phases of the moon, which I've started to do a lot more intentionally.
We
so
our cards and
the thing about it is that you're working with the moon. So here's another way that people can bring astrology into their lives. There are websites you can find out, which astrological sign and degree is the new moon in, and then let's plug that into my chart. And so I'm setting intentions for the month. So let's work with the energy to say, okay, where does this show up in my life? Let's set the intentions there, because then I'm working with the energy. So I always kind of think about it as like you're paddling downstream and you're more in flow with your life versus, against this current, if you will. So, in getting back to where I like to look at where the slower moving planets are, because they, to me, allow us these opportunities to make conscious shifts in areas of our life. And so wherever, even Saturn, it's a slower moving planet. So wherever Saturn is appearing in your chart right now, you're going through some restructure. So let's figure out where that is and what's being impacted so that you can create the structure you want. And then you don't feel so much as like the planets are doing things to you.
Right. You're using them as a guide and almost as a
Using them as
planning tool.
Yeah, because my big bugaboo, if I could change one thing, is this Mercury retrograde, which drives me crazy because
Don't get Angie started on that either.
okay, maybe it's a hot topic. I don't know, but I just think about, when the planet, right now we talked about it, all the planets are direct, right? So just go with it, but when Mercury goes retrograde, it's not, like, I think if we get into the mindset of, oh, communication is going to be goofy for for however many days it is, and my computer's going to shut down, I can't sign a contract. It's like, know how to work with a Mercury retrograde. That's a time to go back and maybe review something,
Well, I mean,
instead
the
of getting
truth,
freaked out about it.
the truth is that if Mercury retrograde had a serious impact on, and I believe that it does for people that believe that it does.
That's it. Okay. That's exactly it.
So Angie refuses to participate.
I do. I actually do.
I don't even know. I don't even pay attention. People say it's Mercury retrograde, and I consciously will have to go let me consult my book because I don't want to know. My teacher said it's a trickster. It's if you do, a research project in your life, probably just as many things go haywire when it's direct as when it's retrograde. But some people, if they have it in their mindset, and I think they attract it and they create it, not everybody probably. There are some people that, I think are really affected by it because they may not know when it is. But I had a friend who called me up. She didn't know what it was. So I'd have to tell her, I'm like, oh yeah. And she's, something was going on. But for the most part, just learning to work with what are the energies? Where are they? What are they trying to teach us? What actions do I take? And then you're just more in flow with everything. It flows better. And then I don't think you're as disturbed by it, but.
Right. I mean, because the truth is, if nobody signed a contract on Mercury retrograde, can you imagine? Nobody would be buying a house. Nobody would be creating a new business.
Right.
Nobody would, getting married, that's a contract. So I think what happens is the people give a lot of power to these things because it's
in the news.
Dare I say that it's a bit of escape, meaning or as a scapegoat. Don't use Mercury retrograde as a scapegoat for the state of your life, right? Can it cause things to go snafu? Sure, but so can being distracted.
Or caffeine, perhaps.
Or so can caffeine cause you to spill your soda water all over the place. Or a brownout cause your computer to go, which note to self, head on over to Amazon and purchase a battery backup.
I got one.
Yeah, I should have, but I will now. So that, that's the way I feel about it. Now, on the other hand, because Lisa, you were talking about polarity, I'm also all about leveraging the energy of all planets being direct.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
So just because I won't participate in one doesn't mean I have to avoid the other. Right.
Right. True.
So if it's going to benefit me, I'm all for it. Right. I don't think you have to take the good with the bad when it comes.
No, you take what resonates with you and leave the rest.
The rest. Good job, John. That was amazing.
You should start a show with that title.
Yeah, I know, right? Wow. Well, I can't believe it. It's already 3:28. So it's time for
shameless plug.
Shameless plug.
Shameless plug. Anyway, all right. So John, you go first today.
Okay. My shameless plug is as you know, my book is coming out soon. It's called The Woo Woo Book. And if you go to woowoobook.com, you'll see where you can download a free chapter. And I also want to tell you that I also have an oracle deck that goes with the book. So the themes in the book are all, there's a card for every theme in the book. So if you are into oracle cards, I would encourage you to go to woowoobook.com and get a copy of the Woo Woo deck. So here it is. I'll be reading a card from that today at the end of the show. And that is my plug.
There you go. Okay, so for me, and once again, John and I on Sunday, we're doing what we call an oracle seance. And what we've determined that this is a gentle way to bring information from loved ones that are on the other side. So it's not quite as intense as a mediumship session, and perhaps the messages may not be as emotional.
Yeah.
It's a gentle way.
Yeah.
But we're really excited. We've tested it out, and we can't wait either. Thanks.
This is going to be
Joanne.
awesome.
I'll be there. I'm
We've
excited.
Yay.
tested it out, and it's amazing. It's really amazing. It's actually a little bit of a technique that I learned from Radley Valentine and Heather Hildebrand, and I've sort of modified it to make it work for John and I. And just as an aside, we believe that John and I will be offering this in a party format, meaning you find 4 to 6 friends or whatever, and we will come in and we will do these readings for everybody in your group. And here is the thing about that. When you bring a group of people together that are all from the same tribe, so to speak, that would give us power to give readings that would go even deeper, I think.
A really good vibe.
Although there's a lot of cohesiveness in the room anyway, even when people who don't know each other show up. If it's a family or people that know each other, I think that would be a very interesting dynamic, and
for sure.
it'll be a lot of fun. So keep your eyes open for that. Also, on Wednesday next week, Lisa and I are doing, and I put links for all of this in the comments already.
Oh, cool.
So Lisa and I are doing Astrology and Akasha, the relationship edition. So this is where, and if you haven't been with us before for it, you will get a copy of your birth chart. You will get a copy of your Akashic archetype and your energy centers. Not energy centers like chakras. So, like your connection to vital force energy. And we will also give you astrological, aspects that sort of rule relationships. And I will be giving you blocks and restrictions within your Akashic record that we can clear and move past. So patterns that you can clear. This is not just about love relationships. This is about any relationship. It could be your relationship to your family. It could be your relationship to friends. It could be your relationship to yourself, relationship to your work. Relationships are, we tend to forget, we kind of always want to put the love thing around that. So anyway, so that's that. Next week, it's going to be a surprise topic. We'll let you know what that is. And then the week after, which is February 24th, correct? Yes. February 24th, Valerie Wood, Archangel Michael, medium and channeler, will be joining us. I'm excited to have her too. Lisa and Val and I are friends. So, that's going to be a great deal of fun as well. So be sure to join us for the next 2 weeks so you can catch that. And I think, did I miss anything?
Nope. I think that's it. I think that's all the stuff that's coming up.
Oh, don't forget. Wait 1 second. Go ahead. So I won't. I know it's hard, but
222, Tarot Geek online Zoom tarot party.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Oh, yes. 222. So February 22nd, online Zoom tarot party. That is, anybody can join for that. So come on over. You can give a reading, get a reading, do both. Do like I do and try only to give readings, but I digress. Also, pop over to YouTube and subscribe to the channel. If you wouldn't mind, we would love that very much. For the future, we will be funneling everything to the YouTube channel. So you'll be watching on YouTube, but we'll be sharing it onto the Facebook page and into the group. So you still will be able to find it on Facebook, but you'll be watching it on YouTube.
Right.
Because we want to make sure that we get all those views onto YouTube, because we want to be viral and everything.
YouTubers.
Yes, we want to be influencers. Although I'm probably a bad influence, so I don't know. Anyway.
Well, those are the most fun.
Totally. And let's face it, people love me. Come on now.
That's why we're here. I'm just here so I can hang out with Angie.
There you go. Thank you. And I'm ever so grateful for that, because I know I'm a bit of a bull in a china shop. But Anyway, so I think that's it for the plug. Lisa, would you like to just tell people where they can find you?
Oh, sure. Yeah. So I'm at Lisa at futureecho.org. I have a website, futureecho.org. You can call me 847-917-5473. And I'll put a shameless plug if I can. I've started to do some Qigong new and full moon ceremonies with my dear friend Emmett Sylvester, and Qigong master of his life who changed my life. So that's going to be in Buffalo Grove. But if you're interested in getting some information, we're going to do that twice a month. So
Cool.
okay,
Qigong,
so that's
Qigong is
Buffalo.
amazing.
That's
I love Qigong.
wait, Buffalo Grove. That's Buffalo Grove, Illinois.
Oh, Illinois. Yes.
For those of you that aren't actually in Illinois.
Yes.
But you could take a ride. You could visit her. You could visit your mother. Something like that. Or your brother that lives across the street. Just thought I'd throw that out there. Anyway. All right. That's it for the shameless plug, right? Are we good?
We're good. Yep.
All right. So let's just move on. And by the way, stay for the end because we will be drawing a card of the day. One more shameless plug. I'm drawing from Notes from the Universe on Abundance by Mike Dooley. And John is actually drawing from the Woo Woo deck. So I'm very excited to see what that seems like. I may actually let him draw a card for me when we're done. We'll see.
Oh, wow.
I mean, not online, not on the show.
Shh.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe we'll see. Maybe one day we'll do readings on the show. Like a half an hour of reading. Talk about what it's like to get readings, how to ask a good question.
Yeah.
How not to say, please just tell me what the card wants me to know. My favorite. Anyway, okay. All right. Let me turn the ticker off, though. All right. There we go. Okay. Oh, look at that. That's cool.
Hey, that worked.
It's new technology to us. All right. What's the next question?
Well, we have a couple more from your half of the questions. So astrology talks about houses, and we need a definition.
Let's try to lump a little of all of that together since we're closing in. And John, I want to be able to get to at least some of yours. So a house, the sun, moon, and rising sign, kind of, if you could just put in a little bit of a nutshell,
sure,
what that kind of means to people, that would be, like what would be the best thing to focus on? Or if all you know is you're a Libra, what do I want to look at?
Okay. So
the house, the moon, the sun, whatever. You go for it.
Well, so the metaphor I use is that the chart is like an onion. So the onion has a core, and the core of who you are is your sun sign. So that's like, your willpower, how you want to shine, how you run everything. That's the core. And most people know what their sun sign is, right? But then there are all these different layers on top of that core. And so the moon sign is equally as important. Whereas the sun typically represents the father, the moon will represent the mother or the nurturing parent. It rules your emotional patterns in nature, how you would nurture, support yourself, how you make yourself feel safe, how you nurture, support others. It's the lens through which you view your nurturing parent. So that's fun. So if you get 6 siblings together and say, tell me about mom, everybody's seeing it through a different lens, right? And then you have your rising sign, which is like your personality sign. It's like the mask you show to the world. So when people meet you, they might pick up on that energy more. And then they get to know you over time in other ways. So those are the 3 main parts of the chart. And typically you have them in different signs, but sometimes you have the sun and moon in the same sign, or the rising and the sun in the same sign. And so it's just different ways to really... Those are the 3 main signs. And if you do kind of a research project in your life, you find you probably resonate better with people that have one of those dominant as well, including like people you attract and love. And then there's the houses. So the astrological birth chart's like a wheel, 360 degrees. And based on the latitude, longitude of where you're born, because you need that in order to really get the rising sign, because that's the sign that was the that was rising at the eastern horizon at the moment of your birth. And that's also how you get the house divisions. So there are 12 houses, and the houses, think of them as like these are the life areas. So
okay.
yeah. So, and there's a area, there's a house. So everything in your life is ruled by something in astrology, right? So the first house is the most personal house. It's your physical body, your personality traits, all of that.
Okay. Wait.
Go ahead.
How do you see that on the chart? How do you know where that is?
Yeah. So so everything in astrology is like a mirror, flip flopped and reversed, and everything goes counterclockwise. So you start at the first house, and then there are these house cusps, and the cusps are decided by the where you were born, essentially. And so in relation to the tilting of the earth on its axis, and so each of the houses, even though it's 360 degrees along the wheel, each house can be different amount of degree. And they're going to have an astrological, so it might not be 30 degrees, for example.
Okay, so it doesn't follow, say, pie shapes around the wheel. Is
well,
that what you're saying?
I don't do equal house systems, or so I
Oh
do
no,
my.
there's more than one system.
Geez.
There's more than
Okay.
one system.
Uh-oh.
I mean, I tell you what, when I say it's a rabbit hole,
Yeah.
it's a
Right.
rabbit hole.
The only reason I'm saying that is because I don't want to take all the time for this question, because I know there's more.
Yeah.
So
that probably answers what you're.
Yeah.
Okay. It kind of does. So
There's a different house for every
now wait,
area.
here's my idea. This is my answer. Because this is how I handle, like this is how I handle reading a book. Angie, would you like to read that book? No, you please read it and tell me about it. So this is how you find out the information about your houses, is you have yourself an appointment with an astrologer.
Thank you.
And they can tell you about it.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, they can describe everything, and yeah.
It's perfect.
And it's helpful if you have a friend that's an astrologer, like
right.
So anyway,
the best part about woo is that all your friends are psychics and readers, and it's
that's true.
right.
That's true.
Yeah, although I don't let too many people read for me, but that's
no, that's true. But I found it so helpful to have. I get people messaging me, John, I got a message for you. You want to hear it? I'm like, okay, bring it on.
Oh, see. All right, that's another conversation, because there is nobody that would message me with that. Nobody's got my permission to enter my energy. Nobody gets a message from me without me letting them get it. Ever.
All right. So I had a dear friend offer me that, and I said yes. Tell me what you
see.
got.
That's different. That is different.
It wasn't a random stranger.
And it's this is as far as I'm going to take it. I had somebody on Instagram DM me, and it was somebody pretending to be another psychic, and said, I sense you're troubled about something. And my response to her was, you sense nothing about me, because I gave you no permission to access my energy. And then I cut it out with the snipping tool on my computer, and I sent a screenshot.
Funny. Yeah.
I sent a screenshot of it to the real person. And then I reported this person too. Do not try that on me, people, because it's not going to work. I'm not easily scammed. Anyway, let's move on to the next question.
Shall we? Yes. I think you already answered this one, which was, besides someone's sun sign, what's the next most important part? And you said the two things, the moon sign and the rising sign. So I think we did that one. Okay, so
I like this next question, John. I hope we can get it in. The lines and patterns.
Yeah. So when you look at someone's chart, what makes you go like, oh, this is right? Or what kinds of lines and patterns are you looking at? I mean, if it's like all crisscrossy, is that cool? Or if all the lines are kind of on one side, is that interesting? What interests you, and what makes that a different reading or personality than someone else?
Yeah. So what I do before I look at the chart is I just physically draw the major aspect lines on it, connecting the two planets or points together. So what comes out, you get, like, to me, I call it your own individual mandala. It's not equal, but it's got all these energy lines on it. And those are the aspects. So aspects are planetary conversations.
It's
or
a line
energetic
that connects
conversations.
a line that
Yes.
connects two planets. Okay.
Yes. So it's like who was talking to who at the time of your birth and what kind of conversation were they having?
Oh, that's
And
cool.
or maybe they weren't having a conversation with anyone, and that's important. Or maybe they're in a three-way with two other points, and that's important. And so that's how the chart comes alive to me. Oh, thanks, Angie.
I was just hoping, I was just going to offer that. And thank you. This is great.
So
that's actually my chart, the haunted spirograph.
So just curiosity. Mine looks completely different. Mine is like all lines on one side and very sparse on the other.
Yeah. And so you mean in terms of planets or lines or both?
I guess
both
more,
maybe. Yeah.
More the planets, actually, now that I'm looking at it.
That's sparse. Yeah. So because there are 12 houses and 10 planets, you're going to have some houses that are empty. And it doesn't mean they don't operate. And my take on it and what I have found with people is that those are areas you might have more of a handle on. When you have a concentration of energy. So if we look at, all that stuff going on in the 7th house where I've circled it, there's a lot going on with other people and Angie. And so that's where she's going to be working out a lot of her stuff is in that arena. And that's the way I look at it.
So Lisa, where is the 7th house?
So the 7th house is, you see the symbol for the sun on the right side of the chart.
So like if it were a clock,
yes,
3 o'clock or
it would be
2 o'clock.
3 o'clock. Well, 3 o'clock. Is essentially right, but above it.
Oh,
well,
okay.
in both of those houses, actually, you have a lot of energy.
Well, yeah, that's true.
Yeah. And so that's where the houses become important because the houses represent different areas of your life. And then when you have planets there, it's like, okay, we've got more energy in there. And then what happens is when you have all these lines connecting other points, when in the collective and the planets and their orbits, when they hit one of those points exactly, it kicks off the conversation. It's like it flips on a switch, it goes into that area of your life. And then when it hits the point, it's like, I'm not only talking to this planet because this planet's talking to this planet. Now I got both of them engaged.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so you read it, you just have to, the way I look at it in astrology is like it's layers and you get comfortable or more comfortable and always more comfortable, I guess, because, just reading it all together, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. It's just working the muscle and doing it. So I hope that.
Getting deeper and deeper and more detailed.
Yeah. But the lines are the most important part to me because if I look at a chart and some people keep the lines in the middle of the wheel, that doesn't work for me. I have to draw it all out and then I can read it. And then I just.
Well, I think we all have to organize it in the way that works for us, right?
Right.
I think it's really interesting, just in thinking back, kind of back to when you and I met, which was 2015-ish. And I remember because I was really trying to figure things out at that point in time. I mean, I've been a tax guy for a long time, and it's kind of not working for me anymore. But it wasn't only you. But I remember when you did my chart, one of the first things you said was, you could be one of us. And I was like, yeah, okay, whatever. And then Philip Clark, numerologist, said, it'd be my honor to work with you because you could totally be one of us. And I was like, yeah, okay, whatever. And then Valerie Wood, who will be on in a couple of weeks, she's walking down the stairs and she said, I'm hearing that you can tell me things. And I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. And so because it was written in stone in the astrological chart, so to speak, it was easier for me to believe it from you at the moment. But even at that, I was like, really? And then, look now, right? So, so it's, I suppose if I were looking to speak to somebody who was just starting out in this, astrology, numerology would be two of the very most important things I think they should do to figure out who they are and what they are and maybe what their life purpose is. To work with other readers or psychics is amazing, and it's something you should do, but you have to work with people that you can understand and relate to their filter. So where
Mhm.
Astrology and numerology are less influenced, and I said this already today, by the filter of the person doing the reading. So I really love that. Like, if anybody takes anything away from this, um, my hope would be, I think your life can get a little easier if you understand what's in your chart.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I was really hard on myself for a very long time about being the cut 'em loose person, right? Because that's me.
Hmm.
You don't like it? Bye. Like, I'm good. Father, brother,
Oh, wow.
family,
Uh-huh.
all of I don't, and my regret is that I don't have any regrets. Okay, like that's legit. I do not cry over it. I am not sad over it. It just
Wow.
is what it is. And then when Lisa explained to me, well, it's right there in your chart. I could
Oh,
see
that's
why you
cool.
would be that way. And then it was like permission
To be yourself.
to be myself, to be my authentic self. With John, you've been
Mhm.
present in many of my readings lately,
Mhm.
that it's all over the place. You need to be your authentic self,
Yep,
authentic self,
for
authentic
sure.
self. So it wasn't all this long ago that I hooked up with Lisa again, and she told me that, and I was like, wow, like,
And that
because
speaks to the age of Aquarius, right? That's
for
being your authentic self.
Yeah.
wow,
How? Oh, that's
see,
interesting.
that's really
It's
interesting.
funny you mentioned 2015 because that was the pivotal year for me. Also,
Mm.
that's where everything kicked off for me. That's the beginning. In
Wow.
fact, that's in my book. It's very, very clear what happened and how, and the whole journey from that point on.
Well, I think the name of my book is "I Was a Sponge for Negative Energy." This is true.
That's
That's what I
actually a
was
really
told.
good. That's
I
an
know,
awesome
right?
title.
That right? Like it, and I was legit told, like, that is word for word what I was told. You are a sponge for negative energy. And
Wow.
and my journey is what I set out to do, to what to do about it, right? Because
Right.
I was like,
Right.
Mhm.
she didn't tell me what to do. I was like, well, I don't like that. Like,
Right.
that
That's got to
doesn't
go.
work for
That's got
me.
to go.
Like, what can I do
Right.
about it? And so that's
Right.
where I said, Lisa. And then, of course, naturally, somehow I got hooked up with crystals. I don't have a problem with crystals, okay? Well, maybe. But
Hey, can we ask one more quick question at the end
yes,
here?
please, let's,
What
because
I would like
we,
to know is, and I'll combine the two questions. Who are your favorite, like, thought leaders, astrologers, authors that you like? Because I like to read and I like to learn. So,
Mhm.
who would you
Yeah.
recommend?
So the book I always recommend for like a great beginning book to me is called Astrology for the Light Side of the Brain.
Oh, I like
For the
that.
Light Side of the Brain by Kim Rogers Gallagher, because she makes it funny and it's a really good basic book. And that's my personal favorite. But in terms of other people, Robert Hand, Liz Green,
Okay.
Bernadette Brady, and there's Jan Spiller. There's so many
Okay, of course.
that are out there. Chris Brennan is a great thought leader, and there's a lot. What I love about it now, I mean, there's so much on YouTube. There's so many podcasts. There's like you can just keep diving in, and I figure out new things to investigate through
Mhm.
that as well. So there's just so many. If you're when I started out, there's a whole series by Marion March and Joan McEvers called "The
Okay.
Only Way to Learn Astrology" or "Learn About Tomorrow" or learn, and so that's a good series of books. That's kind of the industry classic, probably I would say. So
Okay.
there's a lot out there, and I just say, just go see what resonates, with you. Well, duh, I said that
Yes.
without even thinking.
Wow, look at that.
But
okay.
yeah,
So I'll tell you what, Lisa, let's hook up, after, and get that list so
sure.
we can post it on the page, and
Oh,
like,
great idea.
because I was trying to post a link. The links from Amazon are huge unless you run them through a link shortener. So
Yep.
Okay.
I couldn't even, it posted to YouTube, it didn't even post to Facebook. So we'll get a list
Okay.
together, and then we'll post that in the comments.
Yeah, good idea.
And actually maybe John and I'll do like a little short video about that. So that
Sure.
you're able to watch that and hear that too if we, go and check them out or whatever.
Mhm.
Anyway, yeah, wow, I can't believe it's already. I mean, it's already time.
All right, we
Yeah,
got to
that
do a
flew.
2-hour show from now on.
Well, yeah, I know, right? Like, and
Right?
I totally would. An hour, 90 minutes, 2 hours, I totally would. I don't know if everybody, people don't have that kind of
No, they
time,
don't
I
have that
guess.
kind of
I
kind of
wonder
attention
about that.
spans.
So Lisa, do you have anything in closing you'd like to say about astrology? Something, quick in a nutshell, or do you want to plug your website again? Or what if
Yeah.
somebody wants to get their chart done by you? What would
Yeah.
be the best way for them to get to you?
Just probably email me at lisa@futureecho.org.
Perfect. And
And just I guess I would say just just play with your chart, just learn. It's just such a great way to learn about yourself, and if learn how work with the lunar cycle, figure out, there's easy ways to figure out how to connect things into your chart. So just reach out. I'm happy to help out with any of that.
excellent. And if you want a copy of your chart and you'd like to find
Oh
out some
yeah.
Akashic information as well, be sure to
Yes.
check out Astrology and Akasha, the relationship edition.
Nice.
I'm excited about that one.
Yeah, me too. Me too. All right. So we are going to draw cards for the week. Just whoever is ready. John, are you ready to draw
Yeah.
already? Or
Yeah, I am.
excellent. So we're going to have John. John's going to go first, and then we'll take it from there.
Okay, so I'm drawing from the Woo Woo deck, and the card I drew says, "Learn my soul's divine path." So I'm going to hold that up here. Part of my book deals with trying to find your path, and so this is a reminder that you are going to want to really learn why you're here. And of course, there's many ways to do that, but the card I drew is just a reminder: learn your soul's divine path.
Love it.
Amazing. Lisa, you ready?
I am. So I'm
Excellent.
drawing from the Schitt's Creek Tarot, the Shitty Creek Tarot.
I love it.
And I got the 10 of Pentacles, which I love because it's got the whole family there. And so
That's a great card.
Yeah, it's a great card. And to me, what's coming through is one of the most insightful things you can do is learn about you and learn about your family patterns, because when you shift your family patterns, everything in your life shifts.
So for me, just looking at that card, it's all about, visiting your family. Did I throw that in enough in this episode?
Right, exactly.
I think there's an ulterior message coming
there
on
could be,
here.
but that's all right.
By the way, the tarot meaning of that card is abundance. It's it's the 10 of Pentacles. Pentacles is the money and physical things suit, and the 10 is the completion, and it's like the arrival of the arrival of everything you've been trying to manifest.
Wow. Okay, so
how auspicious.
Right? I am drawing from Notes from the Universe on Abundance by Mike Dooley. Check Mike Dooley out. He's written a couple of really cool books, and he's got a website. And I like him a lot because cheeky. So here's the card. This is, to me, collaboration at its finest, right? Like everything is flowing in between. Collaboration. You can't, you're not an island. You can't do it alone, right? The river requires two sides to hold it together. So
cool.
I love it. All right. So now this is the whole message. What good does it do knowing approximately where the treasure lies, yet never digging? Having a bank account with millions in it, but never writing a check. Or discovering the fountain of youth, but never drinking a drop. You must live the truths you discover. You must break your old rules, defy logic, be the change, dig, write the check, and drink eternally, one little step after another. There's no other way, the universe. So you know what's really interesting about this card? I literally this morning wrote myself a check for $1 million. Literally was guided to write myself a check for $1 million. And I thought to myself, well, I hope nobody finds this and tries to deposit it at the moment. But I mean, it's right there, right? It's like, believe the abundance is there and available for you. It is.
Mm-hmm.
Does that mean it's going to poof? No, there is no poof. I'm sorry, but there's no poof. But the more you believe it, the more it shows up. The more you believe. I mean, how many times do we say you can't make this stuff up?
Right?
Right?
Exactly.
You hear it all the time. You can't
Yep.
make this stuff up. So I want you all to know, everybody that's listening, and you probably caught in the beginning, I have family listening at the moment. This is meant for them, but it's meant for all of you. I love you. I am so happy to be able to do this. I am so happy for your support. I'm happy to have John and people like Lisa who will come and visit. And, you know, I see that there's absolutely opportunity for Lisa to come again, because there's other things that we can touch on and talk about.
Yes.
So y'all believe in yourselves. Believe in yourselves. That's what I want you to know.
Yep.
Believe in yourselves. It's all there for you. Figure out what you want and then figure out how to go get it. And don't ever take no for an answer. So that's me, Angie, signing off.
Let me sign off once more with this: learning your soul's divine path. That's exactly what we talked about with astrology. That's where that divine path is written. So it felt like just the perfect card.
They all went together.
Yeah,
they all went. Yes, that's what I'm trying to say.
They sure did.
All three of these things really connected well at the end. And I wouldn't expect anything less from the universe.
No, me either. Me either. Lisa, any final words?
Oh, I'm just, thank you so much. I'll come back anytime. So let me know.
I think that I can see big possibilities for this, because there's a lot to go, you know, like there's things that happen quarterly, there's things that happen monthly, there's, you know, like we can totally expand on this a little bit and really maybe to try and take the what is that, you know, like what is that word? Take the whatever out of astrology, right? Like the
mystique.
Like the mystery, right? The mystique out of it. Help people, you know, bring it into their real lives.
Yeah.
And help, you know, and anyway. All right. Well, that's it for today's episode. Episode 5 is in the can.
Yay!
From Does It Resonate With You? And remember, does it resonate with you? Take what does and leave the rest. We will see you next week.
Thanks, everyone.
We will have it posted so you'll know what the topics are. If you have any questions, always feel free to drop them. Actually, always feel free to drop them in the comments or send us an email at letschat@doesitresonatewithyou.com.
Nice.
Yes. Although don't go to doesitresonatewithyou.com quite yet, because it's not ready. But anyway, all right. Thank you all so much.
Thank
we
you.
will see you next week, or we'll see you Sunday or Wednesday or both, or
all of the above.
Love you all. Thank you very much. Have a marvelous weekend.